This week on Extracts, empty weapon tubes, vengeful witchcraft noobs, these hysterical masses haven't got a clue.
It's the Masked Hysteria episode.
Welcome to Extracts, a podcast where we introduce each other to our fandoms one episode at a time. I'm your host, Erin Cline, an X-Files enthusiastic apologist.
And I'm your other host, Stella Cheeks, a forever slut for Star Trek the original series. Each podcast, we pick 2 episodes that fit a cinematic theme, watch them together, and then record our feelings.
Our theme this week is Mass Hysteria.
Today we're watching Return of the Arcons, i.e. an evil computer of a long-dead dictator gives the body, a.k.a. the citizens, purge-like festivals to keep them calm. Obviously, Captain James Tiberius Kirk cannot allow that to stand.
And for the X-Files, this is the one where they do it. That's what this one is. This one's just kind of it. It's good, and they do a really good job, and they expand on it. And IMO, this chuckle teeth fucker is way scarier than the clown. Just IMO, man, the weird head things really freak me out. Anyway, this is the one where they do it. It's season 11. What can you do? Anyway, are you ready?
Why do you say what can you do like you don't like it? You like it.
No, I do like it. We'll get into this, but it's
Okay.
I like the whole thing, but there are parts of it where it's this is boring or whatever. You know what I mean? We'll get into it.
I suppose.
Are you ready to dig it in there, Mr. Spock?
I sure am.
Sulu. Take it easy. Sit down.
And now for a quick-ish episode summary. We open on Sulu looking fine AF in a cravat, running from some creeps in hoods. Never a great sign. He requests an emergency beam-up from the Enterprise, but gets whammied with a feel-good pipe right before the beam-up. That's what it is. Aboard the ship, Kirk questions Sulu about the other members of the landing party, but he is incensed because they are not of the body. Then he gets super chill and not helpful, whispering, Landru, Landru. So naturally, Kirk is like, come on, boys, let's get into our cosplay and beam down to Beta 3. Now, no one has been on Beta 3 since the USS Arcon was reported lost, so these fools have no idea what they're walking into. Once they land, they are greeted by weird, almost robot-like people. But hey, they are just in time for the red hour. Ding-dong, time to go fucking crazy. The landing party run away from the festival freaks into the house of Rhaegar, a town elder, until ding-dong, everybody's normal again. Unfortunately, another town elder is a fucking narc and sells them out to the lawgivers. Fortunately, Rhaegar turns out to be totally chill. Guess he doesn't like the fact that the all-important Landru let his daughter be assaulted. Unfortunately, the Enterprise crew don't know how to keep a fucking beat, and they are found out by Landru. Fortunately, the Enterprise crew has favors, and these townsfolk only have sticks. Rhaegar takes them to the underground, literally, where he tells them how Landru saved their society from war and anarchy 6,000 years ago and reduced the planet's technology to a simpler level, about the Landru resistance and what happened to the Arcons, aka the members of the lost ship. When the people oppose the will of Landru, they are absorbed into the body, aka Landru takes over the person's brain via telepathy. Oh, also those Arcons, their ship was destroyed by Landru, and that's happening now to the Enterprise. Only 12 hours to survive. Man, we should not have watched this back-to-back with the Apple. LOL. In the underground, they meet a projection of Landru who puts the whammy on them and knocks them all out. They're moved to a prison where their weapons are taken, and McCoy is now of the body. The underground rescues Kirk and Spock before they can get whammied, but they are sent back to prison where they start to make plans with Rhaegar. But McCoy is a sneaky guy, and he calls the lawgivers. But Spock and Kirk are done with this shit, so they beat the hell out of him, steal their robes, and bust in on Landru. But twist, Landru is actually an advanced computer, which is bad luck for Landru, because Kirk and Spock are 2 illogical boys, and they talk that computer to death by saying, if it truly desires peace for its citizens, it should destroy itself, because to take away free will is evil, etc., etc., etc. Once Landru is gone, Kirk leaves some Federation advisors and educators on the planet to help them reform their civilization, and then he bounces the fuck out of there. Another planet, quote unquote, saved. What did you think of this episode?
It's funny. I don't know if this is because I've watched so much Trek now that I can kind of feel this, because there are a lot of things that are very similar in many ways. But this was the first time I was like, man, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah, this episode's boring.
Legit bored. Because normally I'm like, oh, well, I'm noticing these things. Even some of the sets on this I liked a lot, but I was like, this is not holding my attention. It's weird because there are parts I did really like, though. I like that this is the first time they use the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. It was obvious because it was not only the way that they shot it while they were talking about the Prime Directive, but also like the seriousness and tone was very clear in a way that like I've seen them do this before, but it felt very clear that this was like a moment where it was happening. So like that's cool. I love a cosplay mission. I don't know. It was just kind of boring. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how you would feel about this episode. I mean, I think this episode is boring, but because like this is the first time the Prime Directive happens. This is the first time I think that Kirk talks a computer to death. This is the first time for many things, but we watch this out of order, so this is like old hat to you now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And like
This is maybe one of the first times they're like in the like civilian cosplay too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's definitely one of the first times, if not the first time, because this is season 1, episode 21. So it's close to the end of season 1, because I think there's, I want to say 29 episodes in season 1. So this one is a lot of firsts, but again, we watch things out of order, and this isn't one of my favorite episodes, so I didn't put it early.
Yeah. I don't know. It was interesting. I thought there was a lot of very good acting in it. I thought Shatner and
everybody looking
Nimoy,
cute.
Yeah, everybody looked really good at season 1. This is when everyone had the glow. It was awesome. I thought everyone that was included looked good. They didn't feel like they looked outside of it, inside of the cosplay, which is nice. And also, least surprising thing in the fucking world that Bones was like, "Yep, I'm one with a body. Can I just relax into my Southern man self? Absolutely, thank you very much." Like, I knew that was happening immediately. The second he came down, it was like, well, there goes that man.
It's like a D&D trope. Like there's always one member of the party that is the easiest to whammy, and he is that one of their party. He's the easiest to whammy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. He's got that in his soul.
Yeah. This episode was in running the story. It wasn't written, but this story was in running to be one of the pilots, which is interesting, I think, because I don't think it's a great. I mean, there's a lot of tropes in it, but it's not super exciting, despite being like having like a weird purge. Would you be surprised to know that this inspired the purge?
I'm very torn about it because I actually do think there's a lot about it that I can see how people would be first time seeing it really into it. Again, like the colors and the sets like that, and the large cast. I can also understand how they would want that to be like a pilot, to be like you want to present scale and you want it to look big and
be like, this show's about colonizing.
Oh, we haven't even said
the
this.
Federation. They are quote unquote benevolent colonizers. They can say whatever else they want, but that's exactly what they are.
Yes, 100%.
And not just Earth, obviously. When I say the Federation, I'm including Vulcan and Andoria and Tellarite. Nailed it. Those are the 4.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Those are the 4 founding planets of the Federation.
Okay, I know that information has gone in through my face several times. That's fine.
That's okay. You don't need to know it.
I know. Someday, I suppose. Maybe.
You've obviously met Andorians because they're the blue ones that you like.
Right.
And then Tellarites, it was way back when we met Spock's parents for the first time. They were the like angry pig-like
Oh, yeah,
aliens.
I remember them.
Those are Tellarites.
Oh, okay. All right, I remember those. We haven't even said this. They arrive at a planet that's having like an orgy, like a very violent.
The Red Hour.
The Red Hour.
The
and
festival.
like, it is so weird to be like, they have this giant festival, burn, throw things through windows, fuck in the street scene, and then you just kind of move on from it. They just sort of like, yeah, this is just a thing that happens here. This is what we're programmed to do. And it's like, okay, what? And like, we have all of that happening, and this episode is still kind of like, yeah, okay. It's bizarre.
Well, it doesn't happen that much. It happens at one time, and it is the like catalyst for a lot of stuff. But you know, it's also the 60s. They're not showing like purge level stuff. They are a little bit, but not really. And I mean, there's this scene.
They showed a shadow of people like fucking at
Yeah.
one point, which I was really surprised they got away with.
The scene of the daughter being really upset afterwards, that's the most effective part of it, because it's clear that Landru, I don't know what the like mechanical purpose is, as if Landru's all about like, oh, peace, whatever. Maybe it's like, it's either one or two things, I think, because they never really get into it. It's either he needs to let loose control for a second to like reset his powers, or it's a reminder for the citizens of what life is like without Landru, therefore don't go against Landru. It's probably the latter. They don't really get into it in the show. I'm sure they do in like a Blish book or something. And because like specifically the town elders are immune from it now, it's like, oh, once you reach a certain age, you don't have to do this crazy shit anymore. It's probably the latter, like a threat almost, because like that's how dictators, even computers, keep power.
I interpret it as that, like your B, or either my C is it's a reset for the humans who are under constant control to let out violent urges and sexual tendencies because they don't do that the
To
majority
not fight
of the time.
telepathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be all of them, frankly. But yeah, I think the most effective part is the daughter being super upset afterwards. Mm-hmm. Which is also interesting because nobody else is really upset afterwards. So, like, how does she have all those feelings afterwards? Whatever. That's just sloppy writing.
Yeah.
That's just sloppy writing. That's inconsistent writing.
Maybe you're too close to somebody and like, well, that's that. I mean, that would also suck. You're trying to. There are people too in the street who are like, men are grabbing women and they are trying to run away. From
No,
them too.
I think it's implied that like The Purge, the movie, there are no laws. You can do anything. And I think it's heavily implied that there's some consensual fucking, but then there is some not.
Right. Yeah.
You know, violence, murder, assault, thievery, whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I can see why they wanted to do this as a pilot. It makes sense. It's a big splashy opener. It's too much sex.
I don't know. And then
It is. Am I wrong? It's too much sex. The violence isn't the problem. It's the sex.
no, I don't think that was the reason. I think that they just wanted something that was more focused on the crew and less focused on this like big planet. That would be my guess why they did
We really
it.
don't see a lot of the crew in this one.
Yeah, so I think that's if you're as a pilot establishing what Star Trek is, I don't
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
know if it's like a good choice. You'll love this. This is the first episode in which Scotty assumes command of the ship.
Is it really?
Your favorite.
I said we were talking about how they were similar. I was like, I mean, I love Scotty in the chair, so like, I don't give a shit. So it's funny that this is also the first of that.
Yeah, it is
What
the first a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's weird. I was not expecting that.
And because it's the first of a lot of stuff, I'm not going to totally get into it because a lot of it is like kind of boring. But this episode has like a lot written about it. A lot about like the philosophy of what the prime directive is, the philosophy of like the frontier myth, what is the right thing to do in this situation? Like, what does the prime directive actually mean? This civilization is stunted, but like we talked about the apple, like, but it is their civilization. There's a bunch of stuff written about like the religion of it, the religion of Landrum. So it's interesting for like kind of a boring episode. It does like deal with a lot of stuff that tons of people have written about. They've written about war in this episode and like violent nature. So I think that's true of a lot of stuff. Like a boring episode can still be dealing with a lot of philosophy and inspire people to write about it a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you like this episode, then there's plenty of like essays and whatever. And James Blish did do a thing about this. So like there's also a novelization. Like I said, The Purge is based on this. But in the novelization, I think James Blish goes over more of like the festival and like what that actually is. And in like The Purge, it's just like once a year. So they of course beam down just at like the right hour, the red
Obviously.
hour. You'll also like this because you're really into Severance, which is a Ben Stiller show, right? Mm-hmm. This is Ben Stiller's favorite episode of Star Trek. And so his production company, The Red Hour, is named after this.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. He's a weird guy.
Star Trek is really interesting because, again, even like a episode, if you watched it with none of this apocrypha, you could be like, oh, that's kind of a boring episode. But like, it is the foundation of so much media and so much fandom that there's like tendrils in everything. We talked about this is the first time Kirk talks a computer to death.
Yes, his favorite thing to
do. Also to talk like a godlike being down from the ledge. He does that a lot too.
He was so happy with himself when they went to walk through the wall. Just so fucking happy with himself. Like, okay, I knew that this would work. Anyway, follow me, boys.
Production-wise, you mentioned this, but a bunch of the sets were like used there in the backlot of whatever thing that they have. But the town that they were in was used in Gone with the Wind, which is really interesting. And then one of the dungeons was used in something else too. I don't know. So all of those were like pre-built things that they utilized really well, I thought. I think they did that a lot more in season 1 where they really used like, they spent the money to like rent those things instead of being like, I don't know, we're going to go to a park. Everybody go to a park. The last thing I really have that I think is fun is that because, this is the classic, the Enterprise goes to a planet, quote unquote, fixes it, and then bounces, never goes back, is that this episode or this planet is visited again in a Lower Decks episode.
Oh, nice.
So Lower Decks just does a good job of being like, what's a thing that nobody's talked about since the 60s or like a random episode? Let's do a whole thing with that.
I love it.
It's very much like a love letter to Star Trek, and it's very funny. And I love that they were like, yeah, let's go back to this weird planet. What's it like without Landru? This is kind of lame, but I did think it was sort of interesting, is that the Arcons, the ship is named after Gene Roddenberry's like club that he belonged to at school. And I looked it up, and an Archon is a chief magistrate in ancient Athens, which of course Gene Roddenberry in his, I assume, uppity school was in a club of that were like, what should we name ourselves? Oh, we're into Greek mythology or whatever. Even though Athens was a real place, is a real place. You know what I mean?
Anyway.
Everything's like a reference in Star Trek, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fine episode. I don't know. You don't get to see who are really... Yeah. You see Sulu for a bit, and he's great in the bit you see him in.
Yeah, he does do a really good job in the very little screen time that he has.
Yeah.
I loved when he came back at the end and he was like... You're relieved. I'm like, oh, okay.
This is where I sit, my guy.
Back to work. I'm fine now.
I do love the scene in the beginning where he beams up and he like throws his clothes at the guy who like dressed them. He was like, "You dressed us wrong. They knew we were Archons." Then he's like, "But I'm in the body now, so it's chill."
Anyway,
he does a really good job. I think the guy that plays Rhaegar, the like underground guy, he does a good job of like helping them, but then also not knowing what to do with like his society, because that's a society that he has lived in the whole time. Like he chickens out near the end and it's like, don't destroy it. Never mind. I was wrong. And I think that is an interesting take on like, you know, something's wrong, but then also you're afraid of change and the philosophy of that. He's a good actor too. He did a good job. Yeah, but I'm sure Bobby will get into it. I didn't talk about it, but like this is an episode full of people that we've seen before because we watch things out of order.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's a decently well-received episode. It is definitely one of those ones that, you know, people think about, I guess. I think it's because of their kicky little outfits.
Yes. I mean, right away, I told you I love a cosplay episode, and I feel like the kicky outfits are part of that. Again, I feel like that's part of why it would make a good like pilot or very soon after pilot, because you get this like there should be more of the crew. But if you get the crew against the kicky outfits, then you get this like broader range of it too. So ultimately, I think it's why it doesn't work as a pilot, but I understand why they would consider it.
Spock's outfit too, with the like him
Insane.
hiding his ears, is very
What
reminiscent of the first movie too, when he like comes in on the bridge and is like, "I'm in my robes now."
I love what he's wearing. I don't understand how it's period in any way at all.
Later on, he's wearing a period suit, and it's just that he's wearing like instead of putting on a falcking hat to cover his ears, which he does in City of the Edge Tomorrow. It's just like, what if I just put on, I don't know, a blanket? What if I just cover myself with a blanket?
Protected at all times.
They have a cute, like, flirting scene at the end where, you know.
Where he says he's like a computer.
Yeah, and Spock is like, what a compliment.
He like sort of smiles just a little bit. It's very cute.
It is also interesting, too, because Spock's like, what is the nature of peace? Like, this society actually did have peace, and we, like, fucked it up. And Kirk is just like, and then he gets the like report from the scientist that he leaves there, and he's like, yeah, they're fighting and stuff, so back on track. And Kirk's like smug about it, and it's like, I hate in Star Trek, but in lots of like philosophy and science fiction and stuff, where it's like, no, what humanity is, you know, violence. And it's like, yeah, I guess we have violent tendencies, but like, I don't know, they treated it like a great thing, and I thought that was a lame cop out.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot more to add to that. I agree.
Yeah, Kirk is weird and smug in this episode. Like, even when he's talking to Rhaegar, and like Rhaegar's like, don't wake that guy up. He's gonna like, he's of the body. He's gonna tell him where they are. And it takes him like basically almost going to hysteria for him to be like, okay, don't let him wake up. Like, it takes Kirk a long time to like listen to the people of the town, and then of course he like ruins everything. I'm not saying that he was wrong to do it. Like, this society was pretty fucked up. I think he was wrong in the Apple. I don't necessarily think he was wrong here. But he's kind of a smug dick in this one. I don't like love Kirk in this one. I think he's kind of an ass in this one.
Yeah, it's interesting because
it's kind of dumb.
I feel like he's doing a good job. He and Spock are, as you're like moving through the mystery of each level of when you become assimilated or fucking whatever. But there is a point. I don't think it's a whole episode. I think it's towards the end where it does start to feel super smug. Yeah. And it's because it feels like he's projecting like, I've already figured this out. This is no big deal.
And I know so much better than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's weird to see him and Spock inside of that. Like, I like that, oh my God, the robed one, the last one in the trio.
Started with an M.
Marplon.
Marplon?
Yeah, that one.
Right.
Exactly. Thank you, Bobby.
It is right. I wrote down Marplon. Well, Marplon, you're on your own now.
Like, I liked when he was like assimilating them, quote, quote, and didn't do that for Kirk and was talking to Spock about it. Like, I really liked that conversation where it felt like they were speaking as not necessarily equals, but as two people who could have an intelligent conversation about, you know what's happening, I know what's happening, I take you seriously, you take me seriously. And like, it felt almost like a rebuke against Kirk because he didn't share this information with him. He just kind of was like, all right, you're off, you can like be not assimilated or whatever, but you got to pretend. And like right away he told Spock, like, don't, get
out of here.
It's all that. I mean, all that. Why not? And so like, I do feel like it is not directly and explicitly addressed, but I feel like there is this like, you are being kind of weirdly smug about this. I don't know. I agree with you. Maybe I'm just reading into that because I agree with you.
Yeah. I did forget to tell you my favorite fact about the production.
Oh, my.
Because everybody was, you know how everybody was walking in a very specific way, and then part of the reason Landry figured it out is because Kirk and Spock don't know how to walk on a fucking beat. On set, they had like a drum beat, so everybody knew when to walk. So it was like a steady, and that's why everybody was so consistent on it, because everybody was walking on a drum beat. Which I thought was really smart.
Yeah, it's effective.
I liked that a lot.
It was very effective.
Yeah.
I said right away, basically everybody, that person's creepy, this person's creepy, what the fuck is this? And then it's like, oh okay, I see why they're fucking creepy.
Yeah,
I get it.
First guy that they talked to reminded me of Toombs in X-Files, because he was like big old weird eyes and like pale and sweaty.
Face. Yeah. Yep.
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, okay, great.
You got anything? Got anything left to say?
No. I thought some of the cinematography, the way that there was like a shot with Kirk and Spock and a third person behind them. It was like a triangle. I really liked the way that scene was shot back and forth. But that's the only other thing that I have written down.
This was directed by Joseph Pevney, who we've talked about a lot. He's like one of the better known Star Trek Star Trek directors, and he does a good job. Even like that scene where McCoy, when he's up the body, is like listening to them make their plans, and his like head's in the background. Like, excellent shot. Truly excellent shot. Are you ready for synopsis showdown?
Yes, I am actually.
Kirk discovers his talking computers to death kink.
Was this episode good? Sure.
That's it. Not even a synopsis anymore.
I tried to write one and I was like, this is terrible. I'm just gonna, was this episode good? Sure, why not?
Are you ready for Mulder, it's me?
Sure.
So enthusiastic this episode.
Yeah, super sure.
Thanks for backing me up out there.
Yeah, you're my homie.
All right. It's time for an episode summary.
It's time. So dramatic.
A child sees a truly creepy clown ventriloquist-ass kind of creep man in the woods, and naturally he follows him into the woods. This kid is, of course, brutally murdered. Because the child was the kid of a cop, that's what happened. People have to give more of a shit, and it gets booted up to the FBI. Naturally, our favorite fuck the feds are there to help. Scully, all up in the morgue, as usual, communicates to Mulder. It looks like this kid was shaken to death, probably by some kind of serial offender. How strange that the child of a cop might wind up on the bad end of a backhand. Anyway, a kid claims to have seen Chuckle Teeth in the woods, and naturally Mulder is like, that's basically good enough proof, let's go back to the woods. That kid's also murdered later. Anyway, the dope cop with the dead kid is basically insane and is racing all over her town and like losing his shit. He heads over to the town pedophile. He's not really actually a pedophile, that's just kind of the thing that he's labeled as. It's part of the thing. Anyway, and he discovers, oh, fuck, this dude is a pro clown, and he has this exactly same creepy mask. It must be him. Mulder thinks it's witchcraft because the town is old and participated in the witch hunts and mass hysteria, and yeah, you get it, whatever. Surprise. Surprise. One of the cops is a cunt. He's been cheating on his wife, and also there's, like, actually witchcraft involved because for some reason it's Connecticut, I guess, whatever, it's the X-Files. Anyway, here is a fucking unexpected and brutal murder of a person in the street getting shot. Amazing that they let that air. Okay, so everyone is running. Ass cop thinks that he sees the lady he was stooping getting into the woods. He did not see her because she was actually dead as fuck, and his actual wife is a really powerful witch, and she's like, LOL. Let the demons murder him. Here's some hellhounds, dumbass. And then she accidentally self-immolates. Anyway, bye, creepy ass town. Good luck with your haunted ass playground. Bye. What did you think of this episode?
I think that your summary is a mess. That's what I think. That's
it is.
my biggest takeaway is your summary is a mess. If you ever listen to Erin's summaries, I say drink every time she says anyways.
I know. You said that at the beginning of this season. And I think about it every single time I write it.
Anyways. What do I think of this episode? This episode was good. It was shot well. It was creepy, effective. Like 15 minutes before the end, I was like, nothing is coming together. And then I was like, oh, wait, what? It's a redhead. And then I was like, this all makes sense now. Which I'm so mad at myself for not saying out loud. I did not see her in the beginning shot because I was like writing something down. But I did see her in the church. And when I saw her in the church, I was like, she's a witch. And then I let that thought go. And I shouldn't have let that thought go.
I mean, you were right.
I was
You're good
right.
at mysteries.
I'm good at genre. I read and watch a lot of genre stuff, and I see tropes like an angry redheaded witch. That's a trope. Like, it just is.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I'm not saying you're wrong because you're not wrong.
I think the commentary on children's television is pretty funny.
Yes.
As somebody who is like a nanny and has seen the like craziest television where you're like, this is what you like?
Yes.
The commentary on children's television being objectively terrifying sometimes is very funny.
Mm-hmm. That is intentional. Obviously, it feels very clear that it's intentional.
Yeah, obviously the like Teletubbies is like, even though I was talking about this, I never thought the Teletubbies were creepy, but you know, you guys did and lots of people did. But these ones were like demon Teletubbies, obviously.
That's what those always felt like to me. It was just so fucking creepy. There's
a ton of stuff if you look at it from a different angle, you're like, wow, terrifying.
Oh.
Even on like Sesame Street and stuff, you're
that's
like...
why I didn't like Ren and Stimpy, because it was fucking terrifying to me.
That was supposed to be crazy. That
True.
wasn't for kids. They just put it on Nickelodeon. That like truly wasn't for kids. And it was supposed to be gross and crazy. So, like, that one is intentional. Whereas, like, I don't think the person who made the Teletubbies was like, I'm trying to be a creepy fuck. I think they were like, wait, Tinky Winky.
Oh, my God. Yes. Okay. So, this episode was written by Benjamin Van Allen. This is the first time he wrote a script for the show, but he had done script supervision before this in season 10. So he was, like, around the show, which I feel like you can feel like he gets the vibe of like, this is how an X-Files episode moves. You get these beats, you go to here, you do the thing, which is part of why like I was watching this and was like, God, this is also kind of boring. Like, it's a good episode, but there are parts where it's like, okay, I've just seen so much X-Files that this is why this is feeling lull to me. But there are things about that that he enjoyed. But he said specifically, I've always been creeped out by children's television characters like the Teletubbies, and like how I'm butchering his quote a little bit. I'm like parsing it together. Holy shit, how am I letting my kid watch this? It's so weird. And I was like, yes, you and I are connecting personally, Benjamin. Like, I've seen, okay, here's the thing about the Teletubbies. They're creepy, whatever. The kind of television that we used to watch was on TV. Now it's on YouTube and that kind of TV, and that kind of shit is just a whole different arena of fucking
I don't know, man. I feel like people should not let their kids watch YouTube.
Dude, let me tell you one thing. Before Gene was born, we were like, you know what we're never going to do? Let him touch a screen until he's at least 5 years old.
I didn't say don't touch a screen. I said YouTube.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that if you want to be able to watch any kind of like educational YouTube, you have to have it through the app. We locked ours down. That's the thing. You can lock it down mostly.
Yeah.
You can do a pretty good job of doing that. But like, that's just the reality of how it is now, too. It's like, I would like for it to not be like that, but it is, you know? Oh, well, that's how it is. Children's television, creeping everybody out. The one thing that I wanted to tell you about this episode in particular, I wrote down, Stella will hate this. One of the things that Van Allen said about this was, as much as I love the X-Files lore, I didn't want to see the X-Files office. I didn't want to put Skinner in this episode. I just wanted it to be a very classic standalone Monster of the Week episode.
I'll witchcraft this guy.
There you go. Yes. I was like, oh, she'll be disappointed about this. Okay, also.
How can you watch the X-Files and be like, I actively don't want to put this man in here?
If you really, really hate the, like, bullshit, like the aliens and the who cares, like that, I can understand being like, I don't really want to deal with that. And, like, if you specifically don't want to be in the office, there are very particular reasons that Skinner comes out of the office, too. Maybe a dead kid would be enough. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Skinner would come out for a dead kid?
He didn't.
Saying this episode had been written with the possibility of Skinner being in it, do you think that he would come to this? I don't think that he would.
I don't think it's like out of like malice or whatever, but he just sent 2 agents to deal with it. He doesn't need to be there. There's not a manhunt.
Yeah.
They already found the kid.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this episode fits within this, even if it wasn't.
I don't think that I'm not mad that Skinner's not in it because narratively it works without him. I think it's just a shitty philosophy to have.
To not want to include him. Okay, fair. That's fair. I understand.
It's okay to write it's okay to write an episode without Castiel. Do I prefer if it's Castiel's in it? Yeah, of course. But sometimes he's narratively not necessary. I get it. Okay. I get that he's the third. I just think it's like a bad going into it's a bad philosophy. Speaking of Supernatural, they used a lot of salt in this episode.
They did use a lot of salt in this episode.
I mean, I know Supernatural didn't invent salt and witchcraft, but it is such like a common like television trope now because of Supernatural that is funny to like, again, the production crossover of X-Files and Supernatural being like, salt.
Yes, and like they've talked about salt in the previous seasons like a couple of times.
Because it's like an ancient
tradition. It's like a thing to go in and out of it, but it felt so funny to have... Like, it did feel very funny for Mulder just out of nowhere to be like, look what I found. And then it's just like a really, really obvious circle of salt. Like, nobody noticed this. No one noticed this fucking Puritan graveyard right fucking here that he found with 2 kicks of his shoe.
They weren't looking for it. They were looking at a dead kid that they knew in a small town. These small town cops weren't good at their jobs. That was well established.
No. I don't mean now. I mean 8 weeks ago when someone went on a fucking hike through the woods. How did nobody fucking find it? It's right there.
Girl,
it's not that far.
If I went on a hike in the woods and I saw a salt circle, I would be like, and we're gone. We're out of here.
100%. That weird little curtain grave site. I don't know that I would have noticed it first. Right next to a salt circle. We got to kick it. Get out of here.
Out of here.
No way.
An interesting episode with the commentary on cops and how they're bad.
Yes, I was watching it and thinking a lot of the stuff that they got away with, including the murder in the street, but like that they were so...
Oh yeah, they straight up showed his brains popping out of his
head. It was really surprising. Like, I forget every single time.
You can show crazy shit on TV now.
Yeah, they're like, did you want to air this after 10 p.m.? You can eviscerate a person if you'd like to.
Yeah. Again, I know I bring up the same things over and over again, but like the fact that Hannibal was on television because it was after 10 p.m., insane.
It's insane.
Insane.
Someday I'll want to watch it, but I still just
and you'll watch it and you'll go, what? How? Huh? Because there's crazy shit on it. And like seeing like hearing a gunshot, normal in our television, seeing a bloodied person, normal, even seeing a dead body. But like the actual like shot on TV, I feel like that's a very movie thing, not a television thing.
Yes, 100%.
In a head, maybe like in a body or whatever, like, but like it was a clean headshot.
Yeah, it sure was. And it's like you've already seen him get like beaten by a mob of people. Yeah. And so it all like you've seen him get his ass kicked and then a mob of people kicks his ass and it's like, surely they'll put him in the fucking ambulance. And then no, he just gets straight up day murdered. Like it's wild.
Yeah. As opposed to night murdered.
Yeah, exactly. You get night murdered. That's a whole different thing. Did you see anything? No, it was dark. Day murdered. I'm sorry. He was right there. There's not a lot that I can tell you.
There will be 2 injustices here today. The murder of an innocent man and the release of a guilty officer.
Mm-hmm. That arraignment happened very fast. very fast.
He was right. Small town.
That's true.
And they let him.
Get speedy.
They let him out with all of his guns.
Bro, right? Like, what the fuck? Yeah,
that seems normal, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do like that there is some I mean, X-Files is always like this. It is like the background noise of the X-Files. Fuck local cops. Like, it has always been like that.
And we love them for it.
And we love them for it, and we agree in ACAB, in every sense, basically. It is really nice to watch a cop take literally any responsibility for his own actions. Like, it is nice.
Are you talking about the one good cop, the one black person in this whole town?
No. I was talking about the chief who gets murdered, where like he is like, yeah, I did,
but I did not kill anyone.
Yeah, like even to have him take
Southern.
any, even to take any accountability at all is bizarre to see of cops taking on the like blame of this child died because I made choices that had consequences.
Meanwhile,
nice.
His wife is like, "It's your fault." And it's like, "Girl, you summoned a demon from hell."
Right? You did actually kill a child. Did you know that? Your child's dead because you killed a child.
Plan too, man.
Listen, small town. I don't know. They're like, witchcraft? I could just pull this off the shelf. Everything will be fine.
Bad plans.
Bad plans. Are you in the notes? Have you scrolled down enough to see?
I'm in my notes. I'm not in your notes.
There it is. Oh, yeah. That's the it's Mr. Chuckleteeth. He's the
British.
Yep, exactly. He is the inspiration for Mr. Chuckleteeth.
Do you guys remember H&R Puff and stuff?
Yes.
That show was fucked.
Yes.
All of those old Croft shows. This guy who created HR Puff and stuff.
I'm just gonna make my kids watch that.
Like this shit isn't weird. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but I watched it, so.
And I turned out fine.
I don't think that's how that works.
I watched some crazy shit. Because I both grew up in the 90s, and then also my dad loved weird cartoons and shows from the 70s. So I had a 70s, 90s childhood.
I can't believe that they let us watch it. Anyway, okay, so if you'd like to see what this fucking insane character looks like, you can either Google it or you can see it in the Patreon notes. Thank you.
Mr. Nosy Bonk.
Would you like to know how the reception... What do you think the reception was? Guess.
I don't know. Bad because people are dumb.
No, it was actually pretty positive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were people who complained that like the plot got a little lost, which I would kind of agree with in certain places.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was like confused for a second, and then once I realized it was the lady, I was like, oh, okay. Because at first, when he was like, I think this town is cursed, I was like, and then he found the graveyard. I was like, okay, maybe in this town, when you commit one of the cardinal sins, something happens.
No, that would have been much more interesting.
But then it was just adultery and witchcraft.
Just adultery. Shouldn't turn to hell for something so silly, honestly.
The book didn't burn.
That's how you know that it's witches.
Real witchcraft.
That's how you know. Okay, that's really all I have. It's a season 11, so there's not a ton to say about this one.
Creepy stuff.
Creepy.
Are you ready for Deep Throat's mission logs?
Yes,
oh, wait, no. Are you ready for a synopsis showdown?
Oh, yep, I sure am. We were ready to pass right the fuck over that. Don't need it.
A modern-day witch unleashed a demonic force she can't control, and Mulder is once again somehow proven right.
Don't fuck with magic and don't let your kids watch creepy bullshit. The end.
The end. Are you ready for Deep Throat's mission log?
Yes, I am.
Well, Marplot, you're on your own now. I hope you're up to it. You can get rid of those robes. And if I were you, I'd start looking for another job.
So, starting with Return of the Arcons, first aired February 9th, 1967. Story by Gene Roddenberry, directed by Joseph Pevney, as Stell said. This was part of the original core of stories that Gene Roddenberry had, called Star Trek TOS. So Roddenberry had that story, and then the teleplay was developed by someone named Boris Sobelman, who also did a few episodes of the original Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mannix, much more. Through conception and onward, some titles were The Perfect World, Paradise XML, Landru's Paradise. So pretty basic. Most of this story was there the whole time. One thing that was cut, though, was we see a lot from a crewman early on that we don't usually see. His name's Lindstrom. He's the one kind of speaking up against like, oh, but that woman was murdered. Oh, but this is so wrong. Yeah. He was actually supposed to fall in love with a local girl. I'm assuming it's Tula, the girl that they talk to in the beginning, which is why you hear a lot more of him in the beginning of the episode, speaking up more, talking to Captain Kirk, but then he just kind of disappears. They don't really do much with that because I think
We
they
don't
dropped that
need
storyline.
him.
We
Weird.
actually don't
Yeah.
need him.
They're like, actually, no thanks.
Stell had mentioned filming locations. The location scenes here were filmed at the 40 Acres backlot in Culver City. That's also where they filmed Miri and The City on the Edge of Forever. So any external city shot around that time, they would use that backlot for.
That makes sense. Feels very familiar.
Going more off a note that Stell mentioned earlier, the Lower Decks episode, season 1, episode 10, No Small Parts. The crew of the Cerritos, the ship that Lower Decks follows around,
Right.
They returned to Beta 3 because the Cerritos is a ship that follows up with civilizations that have just had first
They
contact.
do second contact.
They do second contact.
That's the whole joke.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so they're following up on Beta 3 doing second contact years and years and years later. Well, the people of Beta 3 willingly go back to glorifying Landru and following
I get
Hill's
it, being
will,
like, you know what? Fuck this.
including Red Hour, all of that shit. And then the Cerritos crew kind of tries to shun them out of that again. I thought that was really funny. It is just like the first scene, it's the bumper of the episode, and then they're off doing other things. But again, callbacks like that are what Lower Decks really thrives on. They love Star Trek lore so much. It's a fantastic cast, a fantastic show. Moving on to casting stuff. We see Bobby Clark, who is a regular stuntman on the show, get a line where he jumps out a window and screams, "Festival, festival." And that's his only speaking role in the series.
Festival.
It was noticeable. He did a very fine job.
Our Moist Tombs-like creepy town interloper is named Balar. He's played by Ralph Maurer. He's also in Patterns of Force as an officer. I won't say what kind of officer because we haven't watched Patterns of Force yet.
The name of that episode is Oops, All Nazis. So
that's true. So he plays an SS officer in Patterns of Force.
Fantastic. All right.
We'll see him again as another creepy motherfucker.
Fantastic.
Scattered guest TV roles for him as well. As O'Neill, we see Sean Morgan, who we've discussed talking about Balance of Terror. He's also in Patterns of Force and The Ultimate Computer as well. Lindstrom, who I just mentioned, that crew member that we speak to earlier in the episode, he's most famous for his 52 episodes as Garth on Falcon Crest with over 50 TV and film roles to his name. As the snitchy ass old man that we meet in the earlier parts of the episode.
The one who talks really weird.
The one who talks really weird with like an odd dialect that nobody kind of calls out. His character name is Hakem. That's played by Morgan Farley, who also plays the crotchety old Yang scholar in the Omega Glory.
Oh.
He's the one who holds onto the American Bible.
Yeah,
so,
he has such a distinct face. I was like, I have got to have seen this weird dude somewhere before.
We see Tamar, the guy who gets killed first by the Landru followers. We've also seen him in the Cage/Menagerie Part 1. He's the old man in that. And he's Haskins in that. We kind of just see him as a projection that's used to lure the crew to the planet. We also see him in The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky as an old man.
The world is hollow and I have touched the sky.
He did some original Twilight episodes and was also in the original Creep Show. The projection of Landru is played by Charles Macaulay. We see him as Jarrus in The Wolf in the Fold, the space Jack the Ripper episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our memory loss episode for those keeping score at home. Brioni Farrell is the actress that plays Tula. She does guest roles in Wild Wild West, Bonanza, Mission Impossible, and is Martha Taylor for 25 episodes of General Hospital from 1981 to 1984. The oddly named Marplon is played by Torrin Thatcher, Indian-born British character actor. Guest episodes on Lost in Space, Time Tunnel, it's coming back. Movie roles on the 1946 Great Expectations, 58's Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, 52's Blackbeard the Pirate. His IMDb has a lot of pictures of him looking really cool as Pirate, so I wanted to look up what those Pirates movies were.
Dope.
Yeah. And then that brings us to Harry Towns as Reger. It's interesting because he has a super big crisis of faith that he comes around on in this episode. And then in 1974, he goes and gets ordained as an Episcopal priest. So like all of that.
In real life?
In real
I
life.
thought you were talking about the character.
I
Because the
did
character
too.
also kind of has that.
No,
Yeah.
the actor himself gets ordained as Episcopal priest in 1974. So I think that's where like a lot of that inner turmoil and question of faith comes from. It's coming from a real
awesome.
place. Has an acting career that spans 4 decades, started on stage and then began film work after returning from World War II. 28 movies, over 200 television episodes. Most notable being this and 2 episodes of the original Twilight Zone run, and Igor in the movie Operation Manhunt. Also an Incredible Hulk 2-parter named The First, where I think he plays another Hulk.
The TV show?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Moving. No, we'll just play that for the next 5 minutes of podcast. We'll play the
I
goodbye
don't think the
theme
song is
from
5
Incredible.
minutes long.
Yeah. No, it's not. It couldn't be. It is in my
I know
heart,
it's
though.
not actually. 5
Oh, that's
minutes
right,
long,
because
I stripped to it.
The whole thing during
it's
your
very
act.
short.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. I know because I stripped to it.
We know a lot of things because we strip to them. Moving on to The X-Files. Original air date March 7th, 2018. Written, as Erin said, by Benjamin Van Aller. Writing credits on 10 season 11 episodes. So he went from helping produce scripts in 10 to really helping taking the reins through season 11. Hard job. Was also segment producer and assistant producer for a show called Home and Family, which was more of a daytime talk show.
Home and Family.
This is directed by Holly Dale. Holly Dale
Speaking
is
of the
only the
90s.
4th female director in the entire series canon of The X-Files.
But good for her, but boo.
Yep.
She's one of Canada's most prominent TV directors with credits on Stargate Atlantis, Dead Zone, the Dead Zone TV movie, Heroes, Flashpoint, The Americans, Castle, Dexter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Law and Order, so much more. Anything that goes through Canada, she basically touches. She's won Best Picture, Best Director in series for Canadian television several times over. This looked and felt like X-Files. She nailed it for being a guest director that's never done this before.
100%.
Mulder's statement early on in the episode that the FBI has jurisdiction over the killing of immediate family members of law enforcement is true. It's based off federal statute Title 18, United States Code, Section 115B3. It's enacted in order to deter interference of a criminal investigation because cops suck.
That's funny.
Erin went through some of the critical response to this episode, but again, this is 2018 and I have direct fan reactions of this. So I have in the Patreon notes here, if you want to look at them, the actual post-watch Reddit link for when this episode was aired. A couple of fun quotes out of that. This felt like a proper X-Files, all caps. Who did this and why weren't they in charge of the revival the whole time? People, again, like as we're talking here, you were like, this is kind of just normal. This gets boring. This feels like a regular
I never said that this was boring. I did not think this episode was boring.
Yeah.
It's me.
This was a breath of fresh air for people who had watched the X-Files in order for decades or whatever. Because it feels so much across the plate like an X-Files episode.
Again, like the Return of the Archons, we have different feelings because of the crazy way we watch these. Sometimes it's fun and interesting, and sometimes it does puts things in a different light.
Yeah. That's true.
That whole thread is positive. Everyone was super happy about this episode.
Cool.
People were saying, if it feels like this, I want another season. People just wanted the X-Files back. They just wanted their X-Files
I
back.
remember watching those seasons live too and being like so disappointed at all the fucking mythology ones, and in 10 especially, and like there was so much of 11 that was good, and it was just like, oh, that's the end of that. All right. Oh, you're not paying Gillian Anderson enough? Again? Fuck off, I guess.
Yeah. The last thing I'll mention in this Reddit thread, and I put a screenshot of it in the notes as well. User not Emma Stone, we see you, Emma Stone, writes, this was a really great episode. I'll be rewatching it for sure. Only 2 more to go because there were only 2 more episodes in the season. Well, only one that counts if MS4, My Struggle 4, is as bad as I'm expecting it to be.
Well, girl, it's double
Isn't
worse.
it really, really bad?
And then
It's
user under
double worse.
that, Angry Mama Paws says, I'd almost be disappointed if it wasn't a total letdown. It's tradition.
It's so fucking bad. It's so bad.
Moving on through some casting stuff really quick. As our only good cop, that's Roger Cross as Officer Wentworth. This marks the 5th time Cross has been in the X-Files. We've seen him on this podcast previously as well. Running through it real quick, he was in EBE, Fresh Bones, Pusher, and Folly Ado. So we've definitely talked about EBE, Pusher, and Folly Ado on this podcast.
Which one is EVE?
Earlier one, first season, so you've watched it.
Oh, EVE?
EBE, not Eve, EBE.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. We see Officer Sean, played by Sean Campbell. He's the older, kind of heavier set background cop we see in this, not really prominently, but we've seen him in the X-Files before and talked about him on this podcast before. He's a local cop in Leonard Betts in 97. That's our major character, Sickness, Death, Season 3 episode, and he was just in 731 as a soldier, an episode that we just talked about. That is Keith Arbuthnot, trying not to slaughter that, as Mr. Chuckleteeth. We've seen him previously because he played the alien in Lost Art of the Forehead Sweat, also plays Chatterman in Home Again, and Ghoulie in Ghoulie and My Struggle
So he's
For.
just the X-Files Doug Jones.
He's kind of like latter season X-Files Doug Jones, creepy guy. And that's also what he does outside of this as well. A lot of his credits are stunt work and creepy guy behind mask. So it can't just be Doug. It has to be other tall, lengthy,
Can't just be Doug.
lengthy
Can't be
live men.
everywhere.
Yeah. Emily Strong, the young girl, is played by Emma Oliver. She's Winnie in 23 episodes of the Snowpiercer TV show. So like,
Okay.
credits in the first Sonic movie, Resident Alien, a lot of credits for someone so young. Also an episode of Supernatural.
Great.
Season 15, episode 10, The Hero's Journey. She plays little Gertie Fitzgerald.
That's a name.
I added the little, it's just Gertie Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one where they go to Alaska and they get when their luck runs out?
I don't know. I'll ask her.
Questions.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you keep talking.
On the other little kid getting murdered side of things, that is Sebastian Billingsley Rodriguez as Andrew Eggers, who does a really great job in the bumper of this episode. That kid sold fear really well for a very young child who could barely get over a log. Also a lot of work for a young person. Played a toddler David Haller a few times in the excellent Legion TV series a year before this, and a bunch of Christmas movies, kids shows, and Nibs in 2023's Pan and Wendy. Now with more Supernatural news, it's Stella Cheeks.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
You
What
guys are
episode
going to
is
actually think
shit?
this is interesting because of what her face looks like. She plays DJ Qualls' daughter.
Yeah.
Because she looks a lot like DJ
Across
Qualls,
the plate, yes.
Right? That's great casting, actually. Because
Yes.
it's the one right before they go to Alaska. They lose all of their luck. That's why it's called Hero's Journey. And they meet up with their friend Garth, he gets turned into a werewolf, but then he's like, no, we can be good. Werewolves are good. This is a good werewolf society. And then they go to visit him, and he has this like very wholesome family. He's got like twins, and he's got an older daughter, which is played by her, which I think is brilliant casting because she looks like she could be DJ Qualls'.
It's really, really good casting. Yeah, yeah. Peaceful Werewolf Society. What are we calling this? Notting Hill?
Wow.
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 Wow. Okay.
All right. Moving on to Grieving Mother number 1, Diana Eggers, played by Sharon Taylor. Yes, go.
It's also the episode where Dean gets so high on laughing gas and the dentist chair where he does the tap dance, and I've made you watch the tap dance.
Yeah, I have watched the tap dance. That's true.
Because Garth is a werewolf dentist.
Oh
Anyways,
my
keep going.
God.
I feel like so much just happened.
Moving on from the dead kids to Grieving Mother number 1, that is Diana Eggers, played by Sharon Taylor. I remember her from the second season of Altered Carbon as Micah. She's also Oracene on Cross, has done guest work on Eureka, Fringe, The 100, a bunch of those Canadian shows. Also, 2 Supernatural episodes. Season 6, episode 4, Weekend at Bobby's. She plays a crossroad demon.
Okay.
And then also season 15, episode 13, The Rupture, she plays Ardat.
I don't remember either of those.
Cool. She's also in real life a second-degree black belt in karate and kickboxing.
Sick.
So she's dope. As Melvin Peter, the unregistered sex offender who gets extrajudicially murked
Yeah,
down.
but he's getting beaten up, and he's like, "It was just statutory. It wasn't kids." And I was like, "My guy, I get what you're saying."
Now's not the time, dude.
But
Yeah.
he was like, "No, it was older kids, not the little ones. Stop hitting me."
And also, like, even if it was statutory or not, you probably shouldn't be doing birthday party gigs.
Yeah, 100%,
real.
1,000,000%. It was just like that was like one of his only lines.
For
where
a
he
red
was
herring,
like-
you are a very red herring.
Also, he had the creepiest fucking house.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Played by Ken Godmere, who did recent work on Dead Boy Detectives, a Canadian show, and Allegiance. A lot of small guest TV roles and short films, but he's actually really big in the improv world. He was in Second City's first masterclass stage show, Loonstruck, and has also done a lot of repertory work as well. Also, for a while, toured his one-man show named Vernus Says Surprise.
No.
Moving on to more angry parents as the murderous Officer Eggers. That is Jason Gray Stanford, who we've also seen in the past. He is in a flashback as a police officer in The Jersey Devil.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a while ago on this podcast.
Right?
Great
and
episode.
in the season, just in that series, all the way back.
Also did a Millennium, played Bobby in Mystery Alaska, We Love a Hockey Movie, Bones, The Boys, and a lot more. I think we talked about this previously, but I freak out over his voice acting credits. He was Kento from Ronin Warriors, which was that and Sailor Moon were my gateway drug into anime. Huge for me. He was Shinosuke in Ranma 1/2, the original one, Joe in a couple early Fatal Frame movies, and Raditz on Dragon Ball Z. So like his anime voice acting credits from the early 90s are like king-worthy shit. It's very cool. Across from him is Erin Chambers as Anna Strong, of course, our redhead witch, which we should have known the whole
From
time.
the very beginning.
trope.
Her top bill is 123 episodes of General Hospital as Siobhan McKenna, which makes sense.
Yep, it sure does.
Yeah. Also guested on Castle Medium, 3 episodes as
Is she the
Sora
mom
in Stargate
in
Atlantis
Castle?
as well. She just did a guest appearance. She's not like a return.
Okay, just the mom is the redhead too. So I was like, is she the mom?
They're everywhere. And then that leads us to Alex Carter as Chief Strong. He's the only cop character in the show to have not previously appeared on The X-Files. Most notable as Detective Varant in 41 episodes of CSI. So he was in a lot of episodes of
Okay.
CSI, has also done some Law and Orders and things like that. Also a jag in there.
He looks like he has a jag.
Yeah.
You know what?
You can just say he looks like a jag. I don't
He
think he'll
looks-
listen to this podcast episode.
I mean, he looks like he's on a jag. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, a jag on a jag. It's kind of the same, but he has that look. I don't know how to describe it. It's a cut jaw and an angry face.
Also guest work in The Pretender, Earth Final Conflict. I loved that show oddly as a kid. Nip Tuck. He was censor in the movie The Island, episodes of Leverage, and the Quantum Leap reboot as well.
That's a lot.
That's it.
Love,
That's all I
love
got
an
for you.
actor getting work. That rules.
I've meant to watch that Quantum Leap reboot. I haven't watched it yet. I love the old one.
Yeah.
Young Scott Bakula.
It's, I mean, oh my God. And like,
Get it.
they leaned into him being hot during that show. They're like, we can put him in anything. We can put him in drag.
dress.
Put him in a fucking dress. They put him in a lot of dresses. He looks good in all of them.
He looks great in all of them. Every single episode.
Awesome.
He's also got faith of the heart.
I just hope that it's over.
I only hope that it is too.
And now it's time for our overall thoughts. Each of these episodes had a scene where a large crowd went bananas.
Yep, that's exactly right. You are correct.
Mass
Stella.
hysteria.
Mass hysteria. Walk on the beat.
Yeah, I mean, the X-Files one definitely very much the like witch hunt modern day take of mass hysteria. And then, you know, the Star Trek one was telepathy.
Yeah.
But interesting that it is the like precursor for The Purge, which is like the modern day like mass hysteria movies
That's true.
that I've never seen.
I've never seen them either. They make me nervous.
How well do these episodes tie together?
I mean, they're both definitely mass hysteria episodes.
Right. I mean, they fit
It's
the theme. I don't really know if they
like,
fit in other ways. I mean, there's Lander looks like a ghost. The creepy floating head guy and a creepy
I mean,
doll.
having one person or entity who's like the central cause behind everything. That's
Yeah.
obviously both related, which isn't necessarily true to mass hysteria specifically, but like is part of what would make them similar. And also, it feels like there are a bunch of people just like acting like big old dopes.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people where it's like, why would you let him be here while her fucking dad? Well, he's her dad and she's dead right here. And like, why would you let them into this room when they're just gonna walk away with this dude? Like, there seems a lot of like. I'm sure that's part of it. With mass hysteria, part of it is the surrounding of like dopes.
Everybody loses their like, ability to think clearly.
Exactly, yeah. And so even though it's not the exact same breakdown as feral fucking in the streets, it's like everyone is still kind of like purging that from themselves too. It feels like in both of them.
They're both vaguely religious too, right? Like Landru is viewed as a religion in many ways and like the high god and whatever. And then, you know, witchcraft, the devil, blah, I've sinned against God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could also draw the parallel that our main characters and the people we follow that observe this mass hysteria both kind of peace out at the end, leaving these communities with huge fucking messes.
Later.
Truly, and like openly, bounce, get out, don't need ya.
The Connecticut one, at least, is a closed circle. Everybody involved in that is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the rest of the town doesn't have a tendency towards witchcraft as
Right.
well.
I just mean like the immediate thing is a
yeah.
closed circle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that one's done. That's why Scully's like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
You know what? Not our problem anymore.
Get out of here. Let's get into our much bigger sized car now that we are older adults.
Superfan questionnaire. As a superfan, would this episode be on your must-watch list?
No, it would not. It's funny, again, there's so much that happened for first inside of it, but like, no, I wouldn't be like, yeah, definitely I want this one to be on a must-watch list.
This episode is really good, and I like it, but I don't know if I would elect to watch it a bunch. Like, if I was doing a rewatch, or if I was like, you know, I don't know. It feels like something to watch around like Halloween or something.
Yeah.
But it was a good episode, but I wouldn't say it was like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, not on a must-watch, but on a like top 50 list, perhaps, which is not a must-watch list, unless it is. Maybe that's a must-watch list.
Is there a series-defining moment in this episode?
I mean, the Prime Directive stuff is obviously very like
it literally is a series-defining.
Yeah, exactly. It, like, completely changes the way that Star Trek operates forever, more or less. Like, so yes, there's that, and this is the first time we talked about this. This is the first time that Kirk talks a computer to death, which is like very series defining. Like, that is a thing he will go on to do several
becomes
times.
Like a joke in other seasons and series, and
yeah, exactly. And this is like the first time that happens. So
because I think there's a Lower Decks episode where they like try and talk a computer to death, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't do that anymore. We've like evolved past Kirk."
yeah, yep, that's true.
When Mulder licks the crime scene.
My God, taste that salt immediately. There is no hesitation.
No, not immediately. He did not taste it when he found it on the kid's foot. The line was drawn
Disgusting.
there. When he found it when he found it on the ground in the forest. Yeah. Straight hand to mouth.
Okay.
Hand to mouth.
At least he put his mouth on the fucking floor of the forest, I guess.
Does this affirm your OTP of Captain Kirk and the Enterprise?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's like caught in the beams, but it doesn't feel particularly...
He's not like freaking out.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't seem particularly... It's because he's got a computer to kill first. And that's his side piece. He's got to kill that computer before he can come back to the good ones. You know what I'm saying? What about you?
This is season 11 where they just feel like comfortable with each other, not necessarily like... They just feel so established that like, I guess technically...
Yeah.
She has that good line at the end where she was like, that woman burst on fire. And Mulder's like, maybe it was the candles, giving like the benefit of the doubt. And then she like meets him and is like, maybe it was the gates of hell. And it was like a nice moment of them just like acknowledging each other's investigative preferences, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I guess yes.
It's funny when you say that out loud. That's very similar to what we talked about with Kirk and Spock too, of having this like affirming moment at the end where they like reaffirm each other's individuality and yet they're like community with each other.
Yeah.
I would never have noticed that. Excellent observation.
Thanks. I watched the show. Is this episode a fuck, fine, or a flop?
Fine. Yeah. It's fine.
I think this episode is a fuck, even though it's not like again on my like must watch list. I mean. It plays within the rules of its own universe. My number one thing when it comes to like supernaturally things. Good relationship banter. Shot really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
No Skinner, but you know.
Yeah. I agree with
It
that.
happens.
Anyways.
All right, that's it. This is you. Outro time, Erin.
You can find us on the internet. Follow us at NYD Productions on Instagram and interact with the show using the hashtag XTrexPod. You can find me at NYD Urgency on Instagram.
You can find me on Blue Sky, Tumblr, and Instagram at Stella Cheeks.
You can find me on, Instagram at FisterRoboto83. And you could also subscribe to our monthly newsletter at nydproductions.beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com for monthly updates on things like what we've been listening to, episodes we're releasing that month, book recs, music recs, watching recs, fic recs. Just what we're doing in our lives and what we're doing with this podcast.
Rex.
You can also email us at xtrexpod@gmail.com with questions or comics. Look, I'm running out of fic jokes. I don't have a fic where Kirk fucks a computer, okay? I have lots of fics. I don't have that. Just ask me.
And if you want more special behind the scenes action, like our script notes, which we referenced during this recording, outtakes from this podcast, which I can guarantee there will be a few of,
God.
and extra podcasts like unofficial channels in NYD After Dark, and access to our Discord, then check out our Patreon at patreon.com/NYD Productions, where you can get all of that and more for at least $1.
And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and to tell your friends. We find this nerdy shit is better when it's shared.
We'll see you next episode for Gods. In the meantime...
Believe boldly.
Seek truth.
Ship proudly.
X-Trex is created and written by Stella Cheeks, Erin Cline, and Bobby Hoffman, and produced by Bobby Hoffman for NYD Productions. Our show theme is Alien Spy by Ionics, and our show art was made by Jonathan Curtis.